Welcome to a special edition of Rebound Off the Net as we preview the Albany Firebirds 2025 season. I'm your host, Joshua Cox. The Firebirds will play in Albany, New York and reside in the East Division with the Nashville Cats, Orlando Predators, and Wilkes-Barre Scranton Mavericks. The Firebirds finished the 2024 season 8-3 and lost in the Arena Bowl championship game. As we turn the page to 2025, the Firebirds boast arguably the league's best roster and are our pick to win the 2025 inaugural AF1 championship. Here to help us preview the Firebirds is the head coach and general manager of the Albany Firebirds, Damon Ware. Coach, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Busy getting ready for camp to get started here in just over a week, and excited for the new season.
Coach, how's your off season been? What's it been like coming off a championship game loss?
Uh, Fueling. I will definitely say that. It was kind of fun. Got to be in Chicago with all the coaches and had dinner with Billings owner and head coach, and we got to talk about everything that you don't normally get to talk about after a loss and all the things that went on. And so, all I can say is I'm super motivated. Just to losing the game and just a lot of the stuff that went on at the end is it's disheartening. But like I said, my hats are off to Billings. Again, I've grown a great affinity for Coach Walker. Getting to hang out with him. He was just here last week at the league meetings, and I spent a lot of time with him. And like I said, I really appreciate just what he brings to the table, and he's a formidable opponent. And so, like I said, hats off to them. It's disappointing when you don't close the deal. And, again, it was a rough game for us. It was a lot of things went wrong, but to lose by 5 points, it even makes it more disheartening because it's like, we were right there and didn't get it done. But as I've told all the players this year, we got to right that ship. We got to be better than we were last year. And being part of the new AF1 is where it starts. Just with all the things that happened last year, it was an awkward year, I would say. But being in the AF1 this year, we're super happy, super proud of to be a part of it, and we're ready to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, kind of touching on the AF1 here. No way to get around it. Third league in 3 years. What are your message to the fans that this will be different and sustained?
Well, we've kept everybody together, and so it's although the IP has changed, it's the same group of people, and we're all the ones that finished the league off last year, and so we're committed, and so having Jeff Fisher back with us, having Gary Compton, and having Jerry Kurz, it's all of the people that tried to make it as professional as it could down the stretch. And so to me, it's not really a new league; it's a new IP. And so we're super excited. Everybody's got another year under their belt. We were all able to kind of grow together last year through all the chaos. And so, will this be a different year? Absolutely. It's a lot of business partners that are committed to each other. I was blessed to be a part of the league meetings last week and getting to hear a lot of the owners and share ideas and those kind of things. And so I just think there's a lot of people that are committed to this being, obviously way better than last year, but continuing to grow and making, this the league that gets the arena football back to the glory days.
At least at this point, your biggest offseason loss for this past year has been Darius Prince. I know you all had a close relationship. What is it like going into 2025 without him?
Those things are hard. He was my first recruit here. When I got here, we did special things together. And again, just off the field, again, he's like family to me. And so, like I said, things happen in this business. There's always change. You look across the board, every team's gone over some major changes. Billings roster's major different. Nashville's will be majorly different. Southwest Kansas will be different. Salinas will be different. And that's the thing is, people get so caught up on certain individuals. But at the end of the day, we know sports is about change. Things are going to come and go. You hope you can be with certain people forever, but those things change. And so, I absolutely, wish him the best, whatever he decides to do this year. Wish him the absolute best. He's a phenomenal kid. He did great things for me and this organization. And so we wish him the best. But, like I said, we're excited about the people that we have in the room. We've got an outstanding football team. And right now we just got to focus on getting ourselves ready for training camp and getting ourselves ready to evaluate 35 kids and find out who can help us win a championship.
On the field, there's going to be a change in scoring this year. No 3 or 4 point plays in which you both won and lost games on last year. What are your thoughts on the scoring changes to the more traditional way?
It's necessary. I hated the rule. Everybody knows I hated the rule. Of course, I used it to my advantage, and that's just being a good coach. Is if there's something there that I could use to help us win a ball game, I had to use it. But I was never happy about the rule being in the rule book. Like I said, and one of the coaches I respect, wholeheartedly. We were in Chicago. He was like, you dominated that game for 59 and a half minutes and lost. Like, we got to get rid of rules that will allow that to happen. And it just the way he explained it, I was just like, it's just so true. Is we can't have rules that can completely turn games, one way or another when maybe you shouldn't have turned those. And so it just is what it is. Glad some of those things have changed. I'm glad to get back to more of the traditional rules, and so it'll be exciting going into 2025.
You like keeping the deuce? Sure.
I do because that gives the kickers the ability to build more value for themselves, and so the uprights being so narrow, it's tough to line up and consistently kick field goals from long distance. So getting those kickers that can do it and get those extra points for themselves and add to their point totals for the season, that just builds value for those guys. And so I do like the deuce. That's a pretty good rule.
Let's talk some games on the field. You already kind of had a rivalry with Orlando coming into last season, but one that may not have been expected would be a rivalry with Billings. Even though Steve Titus will say it's not a rivalry because you haven't beat him. Any extra on that game on April 13th? And they handed you 2 of your 3 losses last season, including the Arena Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, I wish them the best. Is it kind of a fun little rivalry that we're building through social media and all the talking around the games? It is, and the fans like it, and they're bantering back and forth and all those things. As a coach, I don't care. At the end of the day, I've got to get prepared for them, just like I get prepared for everybody. I do wish them the best as an organization. As I said, spend a lot of time with Coach Walker and just building an affinity for what he brings to the table. I do wish him the best this year. And again, if somehow, some way we can end up, playing each other in the playoffs again for all the marbles, I won't say that would hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah. Let's talk about the division a little bit. The East Division, probably hands down the toughest division. You got great coaches, EJ in Orlando, Arbette in Nashville, and Sean Leota in Wilkes-Barre. You have some great rosters in that division. What's your thoughts on those teams and coaches you're going up against?
It's just everything that I would want. Our division is a bunch of coaches that have all been part of something special. A lot of championships have been won in this group of guys, and so that's what you want as a coach. I don't want games where I walk into the game and I know we're going to win. I want to coach my way through it, coach my guys through it. I want to put them through chaos and adversity and let them come out of it ahead. Those are the things that I absolutely love about our business. And so going up against, like I said, I absolutely just, again, a fan of Coach Arbette's and what he's done in his career. Super excited to play him a couple times. EJ, like I said, when I was down in Orlando for the short time, again, he was my roommate on the road, and so we, again, just respect for him as well. What they did last year with Orlando was impressive. I just think the roster they put together, the coaching staff they put together, all those things were just phenomenal, and our games were phenomenal. I mean, that first game was just, again, I think, here in Albany we probably had 2 of the best games probably of the decade, and so those things are fun. And then again, obviously with Sean Leota, again, he's been in the indoor game and won championships as well and been a part of the FCF. And so he's been around the game a long time and knows what he's doing as well. So you just got to think it's all those games in the division going to mean something. Now, the problem with having a tough division is we could have a really tough division and knock a couple of us out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem is, you always got to wonder about those things. If some of the other divisions are a little easier and who has the clear cut road to the playoffs and those kind of things. And so that's going to be the tough part is, do we, kind of do what the AFC West did this year and we might knock a couple people out of the box, or can we, all win some games and get all 3 of us, maybe 3 of us in or something? Maybe, you know what I'm saying? So that's always a tough thing, but for me, it's who I want to. I want to face guys that know what they're doing. I want to face teams that are tough. And so for us and our fan base, we love it.
So, if you would, Coach, introduce us to your coaching staff for 2025.
So yeah, this year Brandon Cisse will be my defensive coordinator. Just had been working so hard the last couple of years. We also work at a college, Hudson Valley, and I got to watch just the maturation process from him, sitting, in the same office. And so at the end of our season, over at the college, we went 8-2, came close to playing in the national championship game. I told him at the end of it, I said, "Hey, I want you to apply for the defensive coordinator spot." And I'm sure he was probably a little surprised, but just watching his maturation of just what he's done on being a college coach and putting everything in, and he's been a part of this franchise from the beginning as well. It was crucial that he stay and be a part of it. And so I had him put together some things and submit it to me for the DC spot. He did a phenomenal job. And so it was very fun and exciting for me to announce him as the defensive coordinator. Coming in, our defensive back coach, Arthur Hobbs. Arthur Hobbs has also been a part of this organization a long time. Young coach that knows a ton about the game, a very intelligent player. He could play every single position on the field. He'll now be able to teach everybody how to do those things. And so super excited about him. It was time for him to come off the field, and he's excited about getting his coaching career started. So I'm super excited about that. Tony Bowick obviously will come back as my offensive line coach. Tony's been a part of the organization here for many years. He's been a head coach here in this town and just does a phenomenal guy. He's again, he gets the most out of the guys. He's got a very interesting demeanor that keeps these guys engaged every day, and I love that. And so having him back will be great. We brought in a couple different interns, but also Jordan Gooch. He also worked at Hudson Valley with us. He's going to come in and coach the running backs this year. He's another young up-and-coming coach. And so, like I said, my legacy is really, for me later in my career is I want to help as many young coaches build the right foundation to their coaching career like, I had. I mean, I had a great first mentor, which is probably why I'm still coaching today. And I want to do that for the guys. So again, we finished off the roster. Brian Lewis is coming as our defensive intern, and Raymond Ray will come in as our offensive intern. So we got a great staff, super excited, a bunch of people that work hard and want to be a part of it. So I'm super excited to see what everybody can do in 2025.
Talk about specifics of the roster here in a few minutes. What has it been like putting the roster together? I know you brought back a lot of key guys from last year and added some new guys. What have you looked for in building this roster, and were you missing anything last season that you kind of got taken care of?
Yeah, so everybody knows recruiting is my favorite part of the game. I love finding guys that I think can help us win a championship. And so last year we went really young, and by design, we wanted to be younger. We wanted to move on from some people, and we did that. And so we were able to bring a young nucleus together last year with some veterans and do a great job. And so this year, there was obviously things that I felt could do better. A couple things, obviously, defensively that I wanted to get better. We need to get more pressure on quarterbacks. We need to be a little bit higher in the defensive standings. And that's the thing about Billings. Billings was number one in defense, and they were in every game at the end because of their defense held them in. Not that they didn't have a bad offense, but that keeps you in games. Not to be cocky, but we've been number one in offense every year since I've been here. So it's not the offense that I worry about. It's us being a top three defense. And so we really spent a long time on evaluating the defensive players that we brought in. And I think we have an outstanding group of young men that can help us be a lot better on defense.
We're going to start first off with the quarterback position coach. You brought in Sam Castronova. He's going to be your guy. He's had a great career. Already talk about bringing him in, or talk about bringing him in. What is it that means for the team, and as well as your backup? I think Robert McCoy signed recently.
Yeah, Sam is a great kid. His story's incredible. When we brought him in 22, we had a vet quarterback that had a championship game under his belt. Through training camp, he battled, neck and neck with a veteran, and ultimately took the starting spot, which is just so rare for, we call him a rookie in 22, and that was just because he had very little time. He played in Carolina, I think, for a game and a half, and so we still called him a rookie in 22. There was a lot he needed to learn about the game, but he just got better every day. And so, like I said, we had our rough patches and things, but we were able to finish off the deal at the end and win the championship. And so, obviously in 23, we all know how that kind of blew up with, with adding new ownership and all those things. We won't discuss that. And the craziest thing of people getting to just cherry pick off of my roster and take guys all over the league. And that was just a crazy thing, and he ends up in Jacksonville, and so and sealed the deal. And so being down in Orlando and trying to battle with them, and that being our rival, and we played them in the semifinals, and they were just a great football team, and again, the rest is history. And so him having that success after he left here was good for me to see. It was good. We kept a great relationship. Obviously, last year he was in the IFL, which I thought would be a big challenge for him, but he took that on in stride and had a great season, and again put up some crazy numbers. But it's just rare that you can get guys at the top of their game to continue to be around you, and talking with him this offseason was just phenomenal. Again, it was, we wanted to be back together. He's a New York kid. It's again, his family, and everybody he knows comes into all the games. And this year it was big just all the way around, is recruiting a lot of guys from the Northeast. We really have probably 80% of our rosters from the Northeast, and that will allow us to get more of their families in town, more people around the game that are excited, more passion around the game. And that's really what our focus in this year is, really building our fan base and showing them it's all about them. So super excited to have Sam back. Sam is one of the best running quarterbacks that you'll ever see. I get to be very creative with him. I get to continue to push innovation again in this game. And, I said this on another interview. I'm just tired of, the older people in AFL thinking that the game has to stay the same. The one thing that is constant, just like players, is that the game is innovative. And so, hey, we went from running wing tees and triple options outside to pro style to now everybody's running a spread set. The game changes so much. And so, like I said, with Sam, I will be able to be really creative. There'll be some fun stuff that we'll put in for Sam. And so I'm super excited about that as well. But we want to show that we're innovative. Our crowd loves it. We do a lot of different things that nobody's done in the past. And so we're going to keep pushing that envelope. And Sam fits perfectly because he likes to do those things.
What about your backup? I believe Robert McCoy.
Yeah, Robert McCoy is. I got to see him. Obviously, I coach. An All-Star game down in Miami. It was a couple weeks ago. He was on the other team, and they actually beat me for the first time. I lost in that game as a head coach, and so he was the quarterback of the other team. I got to watch him prepare every single day. I got to have meetings with him. I got to have him in the meeting room a few nights. So just watching him, what he was doing, it was his leadership, his accuracy, just the way he approached the game. It was pretty simple that by the end of the weekend, and they beat us. I think we lost 18-13 in the game. But just kind of watching that whole process, it's really good when you can spend more time with a guy. It's one thing watching their film and dissecting film, but it's even better when you could be around them in person. You could talk to them. You can see exactly how they attack every drill. And so just watching him over the course of about 4 days, I was really excited to have him come be a part of it. He was excited that I offered, and he'll come in and learn under Sam. And again, hopefully he can be the future for us at some point here.
We're going to go to your receiving core. I want to point out one guy in particular. We'll talk about the rest of the guys too. But you brought in Don Brown, who played for Billings last year, torched you all, I believe, for 5 touchdowns in the championship game last year.
Gotta say,
Uh,
torched? Come on, Josh. But he did.
was you sitting in the locker room after the game, or maybe the Annie Ann's pretzels for that matter, and you think, I'd rather that guy play for me?
That's not exactly how it worked, but in the recruiting process and just evaluating everybody. And so I evaluate every other team at the end of the season, just like my own. So, like I said, it's a process, and just kind of watching him through the years or through last year of just what he's done all year. We took a good look at that film and just kind of the steps he took. Took a look at his career at IUP. We just saw a kid that really loves football. And so those are the guys that I want around me. Is we work hard, like I said, we work 7 days a week. We do something football. It's a lot tougher to play here just because I want to give these kids the best experience as a pro that they could possibly have. So we want kids that love to work. And so Dwayne just like I said, he just kept coming back and into my mind is, I think this is a kid that we really want to bring in. And so talking with him, he's from the Northeast. He's from, not too far away in Pennsylvania. That's going to allow a bunch of his family. He had a huge crowd at the championship game. And I love those kind of things because we want passionate people around the game. We want the support for our players. And so that's going to fit in greatly. So we're really excited to have him here in 2025.
Absolutely. Let's hit the rest of the receiving core. You brought back Isaiah Scott, and that you brought in late last year, who was a star at West Texas. You brought back Darian Townsend, Markel Wade, also Terrell Ford, Vincent Gregory, and Daniel Williams. Tell us a little about this receiving group. Pretty stacked.
Man, this will take a minute because this is, and I just added one more person, so I'll explain that as well. But it's one thing that you can keep some of your group together because they'll understand the philosophy, they'll understand the culture, they'll understand what you're trying to get accomplished, and it's always helpful to, especially when you bring guys in from other places, that you have some guys that can help lead the room. And so, uh, DT just had a phenomenal season. I think that's the challenge with some of these guys when you're playing with stars, and so playing alongside Darius Prince, where he proved to me that no matter what the team needed, he was going to do it. And so that is just a huge thing. And I can't understate that here's a kid that probably could have put up some huge stats, but he came here to play with a good football team and he did everything I've asked him to do and then some. And so I want to reward him this year is give him an opportunity to come in and be the guy. And that's what he's gonna bring to the table. And so bringing him back was a huge thing. Um, he played a phenomenal championship game and just didn't get the stats. And so I told him after the game, you put on an MVP type performance, and like I said, don't think it goes unnoticed. And so he knows how much I appreciate him, and so bringing him back was a no-brainer. Obviously, Isaiah Scott, same thing. When we played West Texas on the last game with them, he scored I think 7 touchdowns. You know what I mean? This kid is phenomenal. You know what I mean? And I watched him in the pregame, and I literally thought he was a linebacker. I was like, hey, this linebacker's out there catching the balls. Like, dang, if that's his warm up, that's pretty cool. So I'm looking at my linebackers. Hey, why don't y'all go do some athletic stuff for pregame? And then I kept looking, and man, he's not going over with the defense. And I realized this kid's a receiver. And I was like, there's no way. And so I was like, there's no way this kid could be any good. He literally is the size of a damn linebacker. And what did he do? Torched us for 7 touchdowns. When they shut down operations, I knew exactly who I was going to grab. He was, there was a bunch of people that called me. I called one person. Boop. Hey, Scott, you come be with us. We'll take your game to another level and we'll do some fun things. And he came in and just smiles every day, happy. I laugh at him every time I walk by him because he's just so big. And he's like, Coach, what? And I'm just like, I just can't believe you look like a linebacker and you're our receiver. It's insane. So I'm super excited to bring him back. Having him whole season all the way from training camp, develop him more in things. He's gonna be fantastic too. Wade has been with me obviously several years, going all the way back to his young years in the other league. Just a loyal guy. He's one of the best special teams players in the country. He's one of the fastest receivers in the league. It's a no-brainer. So bringing him back was just something special. Dan Williams going to be a wild card. Now, this is a kid that's been on several different NFL teams. It's as I tell kids, a lot of guys go in one time to the NFL, and when they get cut, they'll never go back. For him, people keep bringing him back, and that says a lot about him as a person. And so, what he did at Jackson State, just what he brings to the table, and then he obviously started in the XFL. So this kid has just been phenomenal throughout his career, and so bringing a kid like him with the kind of experience, it's going to be incredible if he can pick up the game quickly, which he he's always in contact with me, always asking the right questions. His attitude is wonderful. I can't wait to get him to camp. That's going to be something special. You brought up one guy, Terrell Ford. We did release Terrell Ford and brought in a kid, Duke Williams. Duke Williams from Auburn. He actually played with Nick Marshall. He was number 1 receiver in the CFL a few years ago. This kid is equally special. I mean, he texted me like midnight last night, Coach, we got to win the championship. And I just said, you're speaking my language. That's all I think about. So we just got to put in the work. And he, that was like at midnight. He's like, sorry, I'm texting you so late. And I'm like, no, you can text me whenever you want. I don't care. I sleep very light. If it's 2:00 in the morning, you want to talk football, text away. So He's going to be phenomenal. Like I said, he'll get announced today. League just finalized his paperwork. So just the receiving core, and then we have Vinny Gregory. Vinny Gregory's a guy that's played in the other league. He's played every position. He's played receiver, played DB, played return, special teams. He's another guy that you need these kind of people that when you're talking about a 21-man roster, you have 8 starters on each side. That's 16 players. Not, and then you add the kicker in. There's not a lot of people that are left over. And so you need guys that are versatile, guys that are hungry to play, guys that'll do anything you ask them to do. And so Vinny's going to be another guy. He also played with Sam at the JUCO level, several years ago. So we're super excited to have that continuity and get him in as well. But that receiving core, that room is going to be insane. The talent level is through the roof. And like I said, I can't wait to watch these guys battle it out for the spots for the 2025 roster.
Let's go fullback position. Tell us a little about that position, how you're going to use that this year.
So we're looking to sign one more running back in negotiations. I got a couple meetings this week to finalize that. But obviously we have Trayvon Shorts. Trayvon Shorts is one of the best runners in all the league. So again, we have him, and he's an intricate part of our offense. He understands what we need. So again, he's going to be that. We'll bring in one more running back before camp starts, and again, so we'll have a two-headed monster. We'll bring in a little bigger running back, a guy that can be a little bit of a bruiser, and so we're going to wrap those things up this week. So again, we've been number 1 in rushing every year I've been here. That is the most important statistic to me. Is running the ball. And so I believe in it. I live by it wholeheartedly. And so, again, we'll have some really good runners here, and we'll get after it on the ground as well.
Let's go O-line. You bring back Sean Lockett along with Joshua Sacker, Bruce Trigg, Jacoby Smith, Brendan Nicholson, and Kobe Bird. Tell us a little about this group and what you expect up front.
Whew, you keep saying all these names, and I just start smiling. Sean Lockett coming back for the Swan Song, didn't finish it out last year. He just didn't want to go out that way. And I love players that are that serious about the game. So Sean is a phenomenal player. He's an extension of me. We have a great relationship. But we also brought in Jacoby Smith. Jacoby can play every position across the board. We're excited to have him. We just did sign back Isaiah Hardy as well, a kid from West Virginia. He's going to be great. Joshua Zatcher, I think he's an awesome young talent. I think that he's going to compete for a starting role. Kobe Bird is he's a center. He can play defensive line. He can play everything across the board. And again, we bring guys that can be versatile because you never know where we're going to need you. And so we brought in Trigg. We've brought in kid Brandon Nicholson as well, who started in the other league as a rookie all year last year. We have phenomenal linemen that are going to come into camp. It's going to be another great battle. I mean, really, the offense, the battle's going to be so severe. I mean, and that's what you want. We want to open up training camp. We want it to be competitive. We want no job to be safe, and we truly want to let these players battle it out for 2 weeks and figure out who can help us win a championship.
Let's go. We're on defense now. D-line. Jonathan McAllister, Savion Williams are both returning. You brought Ezekiel Rose, who played for Nashville last year, to go on with Harold Love, Jamal Hickbottom, Jacquaz Maben. Tell us a little about this group as well as adding Rose to the group as a whole.
I just love hearing you say all these names. I'm over here. I'm still giddy about it. Bringing in Ezekiel Rose was huge. We identified him as the best defensive lineman we faced last year. And, I knew I was going to offer him. We really had the game plan for him in both the games that we saw them. I wouldn't have been surprised if we would have saw them in the championship game. Just with as good as that group is up front. They had a great defensive line for Nashville, and they were tough. And so I knew, as soon as the season was over and we could get into free agency, he was going to be one of my first calls. And so called him several times. Brandon Cisse called him several times, and we just built a relationship slowly but surely, talked about goals, talked about things that we needed to get better on, talked about being a part of something special, and ultimately it all worked itself out. So we're super excited about him. Bringing back Jamal Hickbottom was huge. He's just an all-around player. He can play in the middle. He can play end. He can play fullback. He can play offensive line. He can play everything, and that's just by design. He's just a phenomenal kid that can do everything at a high level, and so excited to bring him back. Jonathan McAllister as well. When I was down in Orlando for that short time, he was on that team, and that's originally how our relationship kind of blossomed. Getting him here for a full season is going to be huge. He is a phenomenal player. He's got a phenomenal motor. He's got tons of athletic ability. He's great. Bringing in Jaquez Babin. Here's a kid that's dominated at Del Val. I mean, he's dominated. He's another Northeast kid. He's from Philly, a couple hours down the road. His story is just so impressive, and just he's so humble, and he just wants to play football. It just doesn't matter. Just I want to play football, and I want my family to be to see me play. That's it. And that's I just our conversations with him were just magnificent as well. He's a pass rush specialist. He's going to be great. We're super excited about him. Harold Love. Harold Love's played for us in 22, won a championship with us, went on to play in the other league, had a great deal of success. He's one of the most athletic, big guys that you're going to find. A guy that's, 330, 340, that is athletic as a defensive end. So bringing in, again, a little bit more size. We needed that in some of the games. Again, we played, some tough teams last year, and we expect that again this year. So, again, bringing in some really good, bigger, athletic guys was a must. And I'm real excited about that whole group. That group is going to be another phenomenal storyline coming out of training camp.
We're going to go to linebacker Trayvon Shorts as kind of your headliner you're bringing back. DJ Walden, Tristan Vance, Drew Singleton. Tell us a little about this linebacker core.
Another group that's going to battle it out. So DJ Walden obviously played defensive end for us last year. Did a solid job as a rookie. We've identified that again, he's going to do a little better job for us, at the Mac position. So he played Mac for us some throughout the course of the season. Like I said, he played a very solid, obviously, over his rookie year. We're going to put him at Mac full time, and I think it's going to be right up his wheelhouse. He'll have an excellent chance to be a great pass rusher for us from the middle spot. So we're excited to have him back. Obviously, Shorts, to speak for himself, he's been all league. He's won an Ironman award. He's just been a very loyal kid. We're really working on some very specific things for him to try to help get him out of this league and get him up to a higher level. Again, it's been a long process over the offseason of just getting him ready for some of these new challenges. But again, he's a phenomenal player. He'll be great for us again. Drew Singleton, here's a guy that started his career at Michigan, ended at Rutgers as a starter. He can do just about anything. He's high motor. He's smart. He's hungry to move up again. We love those kids that really will give you everything they got to try to help themselves move up and get to the little higher level. And so he's going to be phenomenal. He's going to battle that max spot again, tough. And then Tristan Vance. He started in the other league at the middle linebacker position. He's also started at safety in the other league. Those are two very, very different positions. And it just goes to show his athleticism. So he's going to come in the room and just light the room up as well. Every position is not safe. We have so many good players. It's really going to come down to how well you prepared yourself in the offseason, how coachable you want to be, and how much that you'll bring the energy every single day for 2 weeks in training camp. It's going to be a wild camp.
Yep, a couple more position groups. We're going to go to DB. Trey Wortham, Deron Maxwell, Jadarius Byrd, Derek Jones, Mike Lee, Marcus Smith, and former Auburn quarterback Nick Marshall. Tell us a little about this defensive backfield you got.
Yeah, it's a lot of talent. Leading the room, obviously, coming back as our safety, Marcus Smith. I don't think anybody can argue just how many plays this young man makes. And he was beat up last year and just does everything you ask him to do. He's a phenomenal player. He's a veteran. He's been one of the best players over the last 4 or 5 years. We're super excited to get him back. Again, just had a tough second half of the season. He was banged up the whole second half of the season. So really he was playing half of himself, and he still played phenomenal. So getting him healthy this offseason was obviously the focal point for him. Coming into camp in great shape and very healthy. He's gonna make his season phenomenal. Bringing in Nick Marshall, he's just an incredible talent. Was a starting quarterback at University of Auburn. Has done phenomenal things, behind center. So that's also somebody that you could put some packages in for, obviously on the offensive side of the ball, which West Texas did a little bit last year. So those things are all just versatile players that we love. But he transitioned himself into a defensive back. He's played in the CFL, had a little time in the NFL. You just can't argue the man just has huge talent. And so the fact that you could go and play at higher levels as a DB, he went into West Texas last year, had a phenomenal game against us. just somebody that we respected. And through the conversations with him, very good football conversations, again, we decided to bring him here. Some of our young guys, Trey Wortham, kid out of UConn, kid that got invited into rookie mini camp with the Bears. Phenomenal talent. He's long, he's lean, he's athletic. Again, we're super excited about him. Deron Maxwell, another kid out of Bethune-Cookman. He played some in another league last year, so we got to see him a little bit in between the walls. He was a man amongst boys, and so I think his swan song will be this year. He'll get to play at a higher level. He'll get to be coached every day. I think it's going to be a fun time for him as well. I got a lot of high hopes for him. Plus, he's a phenomenal return guy, and again, you always need those guys. Derek Jones, another guy, can speak for himself. He played for Nashville last year, was a third-round pick of the New York Jets. So, those picks don't come lightly. So the fact that he was drafted shows just what his athletic ability really is. But he's a veteran. He's smart. He's been around the game at the highest level. He'll help kind of lead the room with these young guys. And so we're super excited about him as well. Another guy I'm super excited about is Mike Lee. Mike Lee out of University of Kansas, one of the top, DBs that came out of Division One. He started some games in the XFL and fell out of favor. And I love those kind of stories because he's going to understand what it is to have football taken away from you. And so that hunger, it hurts, but it can be a good fueling fire. So he is a hugely talented kid. He's a great tackler. Again, he's athletic. He's got all the things. I think he could have one heck of a season this year, and he could be a kid I could see him moving up in the near future as well. Jadarius Byrd, he'll round out the room. He's has played in the other league for a couple seasons. So, again, he's very young, but he's very athletic. He's very coachable. Again, he's got speed. He's got athletic ability. So, again, he's another young guy. And you got to have those young guys. This game is hard on defensive backs. In the recruiting process, I always have to have these conversations with DBs. You could be at college and you could shut down a half of a field at the college level. You could go, hey, I gave up one touchdown in my whole season, my senior year. You come here, you're going to get torched at some point. And so the hardest position to get these kids to accept is playing defensive back at this level. You might give up 5 touchdowns in a game, but that one pick or that one breakup that you make might win us the game. And so teaching them the mindset of how to change it from the outdoor game to the indoor game is crucial. And again, it's just something that we talk about on a regular basis. But all those kids, we're super excited about. We're super excited to have Arthur Hobbs be the one to coach those guys up. It's going to be fun across the board. Like I said, as you're telling me these names, I'm laughing like, darn, these are all my guys. It's a really good group of guys, and we can't wait for training camp.
Absolutely. Last position, we're going to talk about your kicker, Henry Neal.
Henry Nell's another one. He played for West Texas. And if you watch the West Texas games, him and our kicker last year battled it out in every game. They were neck and neck, deuces and field goals and extra points and everything in between. Henry's just been a phenomenal guy. If you just kind of watch his story, I mean, he's a South African guy that came from playing rugby. He came over to America, and he's just done nothing but get better and better every single year. So bringing him in, obviously, there was a moment of contention with last year in the kicking game right down the stretch, and losing a kicker and just having to deal with all that at the last second. It was crucial for me to have a guy that has a plan for himself that we can really live by. How do we keep you healthy for 15 games to get you all the way to a championship game? What is your process? I made him go over every detail of every day that he would do throughout the season so I could avoid losing a kicker the day that I got to turn on the roster for the championship game, which came back to bite us heavily. So we went over his whole detail. He's very intelligent. He's just a good kicker. He left West Texas, went to Mass in the other league, and they went to the championship game. So enough said. He can drop kick. He can do everything. Having him is going to be a huge weapon, and we're super excited to have him. And he's from New York. He lives down the road just a couple hours. So, as I said, a lot of these kids are within 5 hours of us, and that was by design. We wanted a lot of kids that could bring the pride of the Northeast here, bring a lot of their families and friends here to be a part of this thing. And, again, like I said, we want our stadium to be rocking this year, and we want it to be all about our fans, and we're super excited. A lot of these kids are going to help us do that.
So, last question for you, Coach. In my opinion, you have the most talented roster in the league. Second straight year I picked you to win the league. Are you going to make me look like I know what I'm talking about this year?
You knew what you were talking about last year. Like I said, we lost the game. Like I said, there was a lot of storylines, and like I said, I won't make any excuses. There was a lot of things that happened, leading into that game and in the game that just things that were just out of my control. And so that's why I'm so hurt is there was things that happened that just I couldn't control. And I'm a control freak. So for me to watch things that are happening like I have no control of it, we're just heartbreaking. So I'm as motivated as ever. Not that I am any less motivated every year, but I am super motivated. We have worked all off season on every detail of this team, what we're going to do in camp, how we're going to evaluate, what guys we want to do what. We've really went through every little detail, and so like I said, there's things that happen, injuries, this, that, you never know. And but will we be prepared to compete for a championship? I will say 100% yes.
Absolutely. Coach, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. Appreciate your time today, and we'll talk this rest of the season.
Awesome. We'll talk to you again soon.